Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back for the final preview of 2025. 24 rounds deep, Abu Dhabi, the finale is finally here, and what a season it's been. And we have been truly gifted with one of the better, you got to say better finales in recent years. Obviously, we go back to, you got, let's say 15 years. This is the thing that's in the headlines at the moment. First three-way contention since 2010. So from 2010, 15 years, you've got 10, 12, 16, 21. 21 very solid title fights in the last round. So to be having one here again is awesome, because it's been a terrific season, and whoever wins is going to deserve it. So happy days. So let's get straight into it. For the last time, the preview for Abu Dhabi, the track rating. Now, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It is a little bit controversial. I feel like people will find it, a lot of people underrate this track, or not underrate in their eyes, but don't rate this track highly because of its sort of past format. I think the changes that they made here, I think it was in 21, they over the COVID sort of break, they made the changes there to turn 4 and 9, making them essentially like sweeping corners, eliminating like multiple 90-degree chicanes, which essentially are pretty horrible for these types of F1 cars. So I think it's sort of become a modern classic since it's been on the calendar. Now it's sort of, it's been there for a good 15 years. So it's sort of, hung around. And yeah, the racing isn't always amazing, but I feel like it's more of a classic because of the types of races that we've had there. Examples being the finales, which makes it more interesting, like this one. So 7 out of 10 track for me. I like the improvements that they did, and super keen to see what transpires this weekend. My predictions now, scratch the predictions for class and run wide, because this weekend is obviously all about the championship. I can give a toss about anyone else. So my predictions for the weekend, and I probably will do a chat after quali as well. I feel like I got to. It's going to be in a rogue place, but I don't give a fuck. It's the last round. Abu Dhabi, I feel like, is going to be more similar to Qatar, where the track's going to be suiting, McLaren, especially Oscar, and Max will still have a winnable car. I mean, Red Bull have pretty much presented a car that can win for the second half of the year, the whole time. So, yes, McLaren may have the edge in terms of car pace, 1v1, but still not going to be able to pass very easily at all, and Max still will definitely have a winnable car. Oscar, so it's screaming to me, Oscar wins the race, or even Max wins the race, but Lando still has enough to clinch the title, because he should be able to stick the car in a podium placing position. But either way, Max and Oscar just got to be ultra aggressive and go out there and win. Take it one session at a time. We have 3 practices of qualifying, although Oscar's out for P1 tonight because he's giving his practice allocation to a rookie. So who knows? Could that have an impact? We don't know, but we're going to find out. So over the course of the race, so for who to win, for what needs to happen for who to win. So, for example, if Oscar, right, let's go through Oscar first. Most likely outcome for him to win the championship. He's got to win. I think he can definitely go out and do that. And he shouldn't be afraid to do that. He shouldn't lack any confidence to do that. But because whatever happens is out of his control after that. He can still easily win the championship, but it's out of his control, even if he wins. So if he comes second, though, Lando has to finish 10th or lower, I believe. So if he wins, Lando 6th or lower, that can happen. A mistake, a shit pit stop, that can definitely happen. And Max, he can beat Max and win anyway. Max has just got to win and have Lando come 4th or lower. and then he wins the championship. Obviously, Lando's just got a place on the podium, which I think is respectable. I think that's the most likely thing to happen, but we won't be surprised if anything else does happen, because as we know in motorsport, like, it is so cruel. And a lot of discussion has been coming up recently about if, Piastri is in a position to give Lando the championship. So this is what has been the real scenario that's been mentioned here. Max is winning, Lando's fourth, Oscar's third. Because essentially if Oscar gives Lando the position free, Lando would win the championship. But Oscar's in no contention to win there. So I don't think it's as big as people are making it out to be, but just my take would be, obviously Oscar should and would, in my opinion, give up that position for his teammate to win the championship without any realistic contention. But you do it on the last lap. You just do it on the last lap. Because even in that scenario, Oscar still couldn't win the championship with any, DNFs or, any disqualifications or mechanical failures that would, affect the outcome of the championship. He still wouldn't win in that third place regardless. So for that to even really be a story, I think it's just classic sports media there. I wanted to talk about Yuki last race because we know that he is getting dropped from Red Bull next year. Hadjar is going to be promoted, which is super exciting for him. He drove a cracker year and he fully deserves it. So last race for Yuki, can he play a role for Verstappen? Only way I see that Yuki could play a role for Verstappen would be as a pit stop barrier. So if you imagine, the front runners pull out in front and then the midfield, is almost a pit stop away from the front runners. What someone like Yuki can do is give McLaren a bit of trouble around that pit stop window. So you don't want drivers coming out behind, closely behind midfield drivers. So if Yuki can play his pace into a position where McLaren might be disadvantaged at a pit stop, that's where I could see it, because he's not quick enough to be up the order. Yes, he had a great qualifying last week in Qatar, but he's nowhere near quick enough to get up the order and play a role up the front. But I could see him potentially playing a role in the midfield with some sort of pit stop buffer that Red Bull potentially, if it comes out, will plot and do, which is well within their right. So McLaren doesn't have that advantage of a rear gunner. But we see that all the time. That's what teammates are for there. For example, last week. So obviously I'm Australian, so Australian Supercars Championship is a big thing here. We had the Adelaide Grand Final last week, which is raced at the former F1 track, which is a really good event put on. And that was a grand final day for a Supercars Championship. And Zach Brown posted about it because he's actually a partner in the team that won the championship. Now, they had one driver in and one driver out of contention for the championship. And the other team, Red Bull, had two drivers in contention for the championship. So they were able to, Red Bull wasn't able to use their teammate as a rear gunner like this other team was that ended up winning. And motorsport being motorsport, being so cruel, you can drive the perfect year the whole day and it fucks up at the end and you lose it just like that. And it was very controversial. So, but it was an awesome finish for the fans, and that's what happens. It is so cruel sometimes, and we could have it here this weekend where Verstappen, Piastri, or Norris get taken out by someone, or they have a mechanical failure, which would be completely unfair and terrible for one of their seasons. But that's what happens in motorsport. So, but yeah, Yuki, Red Bull has that advantage, F1 team here, of maybe trying to play Yuki in as a rear gunner somehow. McLaren don't really have that chance because both the drivers are fighting. All right. Now, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. Leading up to this, there's all these discussions about the finale and shit like that. Who's lost points here? Who's lost points there? people bringing up Spain for Verstappen, which is comical, but people bringing up, Baku for Piastri, Zandvoort for Norris. Like, yes, all valid, but you can calculate anyone's point loss for the year. The year is their year. What they've done up to here essentially doesn't matter. They're on the points that they're on because they've raced the way they've raced. They've had the luck that they've had, and they're on the points that they're on. That's the end of the story. Now you got to go out there and deliver a perfect weekend to go and get yourself a World Drivers' Championship, and that's it. Verstappen's lost points, Norris has lost points, Piastri's lost points, and that's what it is. Who really cares about that? Because you can calculate, Piastri's lost 80 points here, Verstappen's lost 50 points here. Well, in that case, then, if everyone had a perfect championship, well, that'd be boring. So it's like we gotta celebrate the drivers for getting to where they got this year. Yeah. And they're here now, and they're going to have a hopefully a great weekend to finish off their season. And one of these three drivers is going to get a Drivers' Championship, which is a big fucking deal. It's going to put you in a big upper echelon of drivers who have done it before, like Max, like Lewis, like Schumacher, like Prost, Senna, all those legends, Vettel, Alonso. So it's a big deal, and we should celebrate that they've got this far, and they're going to take it to each other and hopefully drive hard, and one of them's going to come out on top. So I don't understand. Like, yes, you could think about that and go, oh, damn, Piastri lost points here, but who gives a fuck in the end? Like, they're here, and let's get into it. Also, there was a driver dinner, which is also floating around on social media. No Stroll, Hulk, or Alonso. And the memes coming out of Stroll's. I saw one today. I was looking at a reel, and it was like, Stroll on his way to the dinner, and it's just an awful road crash. It was just some like silly flip on the freeway, and I just thought that was hilarious. But yeah, they drivers had a dinner, and I also noticed Russell and Verstappen weren't at the opposite end of the table this time, like they were last time. If anyone took notice of that. And then there was also as a part of the weekend warm up, there was the press conference, the championship contender press conference. And I was listening to that, and I was just sort of going, fuck. I mean, you get this like in all sports, whether it's like NBA. I mean, there's heaps of compilations of crap media questions in there. I mean, obviously, I don't think the media does a poor job, but like sometimes, man, and I just hear these questions and I feel for the drivers, and I go, come on. Like one question, I think it was the second question in the press conference, and he's asking Max, Norris, and Piastri, who's going to win the championship? Like sometimes it's like, bro, what do you want these guys to say? Like, I know they're trying to provoke an answer, but come on, bruv. That's hilarious. So I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I just wish the media would do a little bit better, and that's just a product of the world we live in. Like, everyone is about clickbait and shit, but it just results in shit like this where it's like, hello, like, what the fuck's going on in the room? But yeah, so that was the driver press conference, and that's pretty much all for the warm up weekend, the weekend warm up. The preview, the last preview of the year. I'm super pumped, man. I really want Piastri to win, and that's my personal bias. But objectively, whoever wins deserves it ultimately, and someone will win it, and we're going to find out shortly. So enjoy the weekend, everyone. We'll speak to you soon.